I don't suppose you live near me, not even within driving distance. But if you did, then one day you might run into someone telling my story. You'd be at the local gas station picking up your morning coffee, at the supermarket, the local bar, or just at the friendly Olive Garden having some yum yum with the missus. And then somewhere just within ear distance you may hear, "Did you hear about the guy who beat up the mechanic yesterday morning? It was all over 350 and change that went missing from his car." From there you may or may not have heard more details, but no matter what, I assure you, you did not hear the full story. So here I am, telling you the full story. Yesterday morning, I woke up to my wife finally getting home after being out all night with the girls. Her towel was still wrapped around her body. She smelled fresh. I remember she recently switched to a lavender body wash and a new perfume called Flower Garden Love. Yeah, Flower Garden Love. The perfume was expensive, but this perfume was one of a kind, she tells me, and I couldn't mistake it for anything else. My wife had put us in debt from her overspending. From the jewels, to the dresses, the shoes, to the rings. Every day she had something new she wanted to buy. I had tried to get through to her many times before this, but it seemed to get worse and worse. The fighting over the debt had even put some distance between me and her. She'd been spending more time with friends and less time at home. I watched her slip into her pajamas. I could see her smooth figure. She still had it. I told her good morning. I looked at her light brown hair and her fair skin and the most beautiful blue eyes you'd ever seen. It's easy for me to understand why I always felt like she was out of my league. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not ugly, but she was in a whole different dimension. The sun shining through the window under her back, I couldn't help but think of how much I loved her, even with the financial debt she managed to rack up on us. She asked me if I was picking up my car today. It was at the mechanic right down the street. I told her that I was getting ready to go do that now. I had even asked her if she wanted to bring me down there, even though, like I said, it was just down the street. She snaps at me. "Do I look like I'm getting ready to take you to the mechanic?" I said, "No, you look like you just got done going out all night, spending the rest of the money we had, maybe putting us even further into debt." So, then we argued more, but I'm not going to fill you in with all the details. That's just, no point to it. But I didn't want to fight with her that early in the morning, not at all. And had just started to feel like everything I said to her would just get thrown back at me venomously. As I walked out of my house, I thought to myself, maybe it would be better to get some chocolate with that small little amount of money that I make at my job that she had brought up in that argument. Just to, get her to smile. Her smile always makes everything better. I don't know, I just wanted us to be happy. I just felt like the only one trying anymore. I thought a lot on that walk. My neighborhood looked like most, and I imagine even had a local drug dealer like most. The day was nice. I could hear birds chirping and singing in the distance. I also heard kids playing on the other side of the fence too tall to see over. The yells of "You're it" and "Gotcha" told me what game they were playing. They sounded like they were having a great time. It's been so long since I found that enjoyment in anything, let alone a game of tagging one another back and forth. Life's never how they sell it in the magazines. I think everyone always glamorizes the future with their hopes and their dreams, but in reality, those dreams hardly ever get met. Most people settle down, leaving those dreams become distant memories of what you thought you could do, the heights you thought you could reach. For me, Karen Nightingale was my dreams and aspirations. We went to high school together. We had a lot of classes. We were friends, but she never seemed to notice me in any kind of romantic fashion. Obviously, I had a crush on her because she was gorgeous, funny, and popular. And then, after high school, we met again. It was at a local supermarket where I was part-timing for money for college. She was a recent hire, and I had to train her. Eventually, she let me take her out on a date. I don't know if this went with work code, but it was a supermarket, so of course I didn't really care. If I got fired, I'd go and work at another supermarket, Wegmans, Weis, ShopRite. But no matter what, we built a lot of memories over time after that first date, one on more. We started building a life together. I decided then that I would go around and get job applications to try and continue to make our life better. See what my options are. Get her something sweet and show her that I wanted to make everything like it was before, that we'd be happy once again. And all these thoughts going through my head, I got lost in the memories and almost walked right past the mechanic. I did the usual song and dance of going up to the counter, getting the rundown of everything was done in my car. The mechanic who was telling me all this was named Matt. As he went through explaining the work done, we walked outside and out to my vehicle. I've known him for almost all his life. He moved here when he was 3. I was 13 at the time and grew up in the same neighborhood. I used to babysit him for his parents when he was really small, but as time went on, I became more interested in doing teenager things and stopped keeping up with Matt. Because of that, I feel more of a bond towards Matt than he most likely feels towards me. He likely doesn't even remember me, but he's always courteous, he's always kind, so he's obviously the chosen serviceman for my car. Ironically, though, my wife was the one who had suggested the shop. Matt looked younger than he was, in all honesty. He was handsome, with green eyes, blonde hair. He could probably get any woman he wanted, and I imagine he's had all of them. Luckily, I had paid in advance, so the lack of money wasn't a problem. Matt told me to have a good day, and I did the same for him. So there I was, sitting in my freshly serviced car, when I looked down, and I saw where my change should have been, and it was empty. Now, on any other occasion, I would have just said, whatever, and been on my merry way, but that $350 was the center of my plans to make it up to my wife. I'd left saying I'd spend it on myself, but I'd come back having spent it on her, trying to make her smile. Without it, I could still figure something out, but I shouldn't have to. It was my money. I got out of my car, I walked up to Matt. He was still walking towards the door of the shop when he saw I had gotten out of my car and was coming back. "Is there a problem, Mr. Smith?" he asked as I walked up to him. I told him there was no problem, but the change in my car had gone missing. He smiled, showed me how nice his white teeth were. Almost whispering, he asked, "Are you accusing me of being a thief?" I told him I wasn't accusing him of being a thief. I just wanted my money, and normally I tipped more than the change that was in there, but I was short on cash. Dismissively, Matt waved me off and said, "Why don't you borrow one of your wife's credit cards instead of fussing over $350 and change?" Now, at this moment, I knew he took my money because I never mentioned how much money was in my car. So accusing him of this, I questioned, "How did you know how much there was?" "Lucky guess, I guess, Mr. Smith," he says sarcastically to me in my face. And it's almost like he knew, I knew, but he knew there was nothing I could do about it. So I told him one more time to just give me my money back. Somewhere in the shop, someone must have been doing some kind of work on a car because a loud noise erupted, sounding like metal cutting metal. At this moment, Matt leaned close to yell in my ear, "Just get out of here, Mr. Smith. It's only $350. Suddenly, I just lost it. I took a deep breath and I just knew. I grabbed him by the overalls and threw him down. The clipboard was holding and went flying. The pen clip onto it popped off and went in the other direction. Ben screams in my face. And as he was getting up, I kicked him back down and started pummeling him with blows. Eventually, I got tired and he saw his chance going for my legs. He pulled me down and was sitting on top of me, blonde hair dangling in front of his eyes. Matt threw 2 solid rights to my face before I could push him off. I got up and walked away to catch my breath when Matt sprung up and tackled me and landed right where I could stick my foot between us and force to throw him off and landing on hard on his back. As Matt was getting back up, I saw the clipboard laying to the side. I threw it like a frisbee, hitting him right on the head, stunning him, but this didn't stop him, but it gave me a second. The stun gave me a second to just lose it on him. So I walked off, broke off my antenna just to whip him with it. Right now, he's sitting in the hospital with a fractured cheekbone, a concussion, a broken nose, and I think that's it. But even with all that I did to Matt, all that hurt that I put on him, he's still not pressing charges. You want to know why? I'll tell you. But I gotta rewind a bit so that you'll understand. When all that racket broke out in the shop, Matt had leaned close, I smelled something one of a kind. I have never smelled anything like it anywhere ever before. You want to know what it was? Flower Garden Love. My wife's perfume. Suddenly, it all made sense why she was the one to bring up using that shop, and why she suddenly started becoming determined to keep up her car service every 3,000 miles, when prior to that, she barely did it every 10. Why for some reason, Matt would steal my change? She must have called him and told him that the last thing I said to her was to use that for a beer. Together they had just planned to play me as a fool. It made me think back to more times where she could have been slyly making suggestions or jokes at my expense. Matt could have been doing the same thing and I wouldn't have known the wiser. My wife was having an affair with Matt the mechanic. When she said she was hanging out with the gals, she was in reality bumping uglies with that grease stain. I obviously am filing for a divorce. I'm looking at some assault charges even though Matt isn't suing. But luckily, I went to the bar and after all was said and done, I still got my beer. You know how? By telling this story right here. I'm glad the end of my marriage was an entertainment for some of you, and I hope some of you laughed. I'm still laughing, not really.